lady.
I thought you had product.
I'm not spiking it. What are you talking about?
We spent an hour yesterday finding you product.
Yeah, that's just...
And now look at it. Is that product?
You're going to be product in a minute.
Hi, everybody. This is BB, and I'm Scott. And we are down here in Tampa. It is the 3rd day of December, 2023. We are Sunday. It is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and she is visiting us on a world tour.
No.
No. Okay. Not really a world tour, just a very specific part of the world she's on tour with. She's going to do her Michael Jackson dance in a few minutes for you. Can you do a Michael Jackson dance?
Michael Jackson. Yeah.
He only had one glove. He only had one glove. She sent me those, and so she decided she wanted to play with them. How's your trip going?
Fine.
Good.
Despite you.
Despite me?
In spite of you.
It's about to be a lot shorter, Scott. You keep up with these creepy questions. So what happened with your? Okay, you were going to do. You want to participate in an online thing? What happened? Who was it?
A webinar.
The webinar. Who was it?
Who was it?
Whose webinar was it?
Well, it was Nicaragua Solidarity Group. This email list, and I get notifications, but the sound wasn't working.
Sound's working.
Yeah, it's worked before. I've never had a problem before.
Get on that. Huh? Nicaragua Solidarity Group.
I don't know what's going on. I never had a problem with the sound before. I tried everything, all the settings and everything. I thought about putting in the chat I'm having, but I didn't really want to interrupt that.
You didn't see anybody else in the chat saying the same thing?
I don't know what's going on. It's okay.
Okay.
Well, they record them.
So
you only take part in the webinar if you want to ask questions or whatever, but...
So you'd see it in the... watch it on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah, they'll probably post it on YouTube.
You can't watch any of my stuff on YouTube right now. Not my new stuff, anyway.
Well, I'm going to mirror some of that, yeah.
So here we are. She's come down to visit. It's been about a year, a little over a year now.
That's over a year. Yeah. I was down here last year in the summer.
Yeah.
Last year in the summer, not last summer. And that's when they were finally lifting the COVID restrictions. I could fly on a Canadian flight.
Yeah. And Canada kept their restrictions up for a little while, didn't they? I mean, compared to obviously I'm down here in Florida, so ours were lifted a while before.
But the U.S. still they weren't allowing people into the country who weren't vaccinated.
Right.
That's why my husband couldn't drive me across the border.
Right.
Because of the U.S., not because of Canada. Yeah.
So here we are, hanging out, Tampa, Florida. A video I made yesterday. We're talking about what happened with Google.
My birthday.
It was your birthday. I didn't explain it that well. So what exactly happened?
Well, this was the day I got the notification the day after we were having lunch, which was part of your birthday present, belated birthday present, and so you were wishing me happy birthday, and we were laughing about that and whatever. And maybe you had sent me
a DM.
Birthday wish, maybe, but this happened after us sitting in the restaurant with my phone on.
Yeah.
The day after, I get the notification, oh, happy birthday, Aunt BB, from Google.
From Google. And who, your phone service is with whom?
Well, my phone is an Android. It has the Android, which is Google.
Which is Google.
It's Google. Yes. So I connected. I mean, that's true that you were sending me messages, but this happened the day after we were together and talking about it.
And the messages were non-specific as to what day it was.
Well,
I was just basically saying when you get down here, we'll treat it as your birthday.
Yeah.
In the messages, so it was non-specific.
But
so
the,
for them to come
the
out
notification was the day after
right.
lunch, where we're talking about.
Right. So there was no, the DMs didn't. I mean, they were, and again, it's like in the context of it. It was a joke, but it was also, you know, I missed your birthday a couple months ago, so but we understood. But there was no. Okay, you're going to be here this day. That's going to be your birthday. No. It was just a so in all likelihood, it was Google picking up the conversation at the restaurant.
That's what I think it was. Yeah.
Which ties. That's what I didn't explain that well in the video.
Yeah. So Google was.
So when I told that story about what happened at the French fucking little cafe on the street with the reporter and the guy who was doing the research. That's what I was trying to the connection I was trying to make there to what happened with her.
So Google missed my birthday too, and they felt bad.
Google sends you a message.
You and Google missed.
Google says, "Happy belated birthday! Since we missed your birthday."
They didn't say belated, but it was funny.
They did.
It was the day after that.
Yeah.
Oh, and you were talking about the email from the yacht. Company, and that happened after we were chatting on Skype, and you made a joke about buying a
everything that we do, everything that we say, it's all being collected, it's all being analyzed, it's all being fucking collateralized and turned into fucking it's into a marketable commodity and sold. You know, it's sickening. It just happens willy-nilly, and nobody's paying any attention to it anymore.
And remember, we were on Skype once, and you played some music.
And it shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It turned off the audio.
Turned off the audio.
In the chat. Yeah.
It was real-time censorship. Now, many people out there will already understand that happens with things like live streams like Kick or Twitch or even YouTube. If you try streaming something live and it's copyright protected, they'll shut it down because there is a system that's AI is listening all the time, and it'll be like, nope, you don't get to have that. Click, and we'll turn it off. But conversations, private conversations, you know, they used to make. Remember when you would buy like a boom box, and it would have 2 tape decks. Remember that? And you'd have one for playing your music, and what was the other one for?
To record.
To record.
Yeah, I did that.
So
a
you
lot.
can make dub tapes and mixes, and the way you showed your, you liked somebody, you liked some girl, you'd give her a mixtape, and that would you put your heart into the stupid mixtape and give it to her. And that's what they made fucking recorders for that to do that. And now, of course. Jesus.
Oh yeah, and I used to. I had a little netbook, a PC. It was a little PC, and I had I could record, make digital recordings off of CDs, and then they got rid of that software option. Yeah, you could burn.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore.
Can't do that.
I did a lot of that.
In fact, they don't even put CDs in your fucking your laptops anymore.
Yeah.
Nope, can't do that. Can't burn it. It's called ripping and burning. You could rip a fucking thing down and rip a thing off and burn it.
Yeah.
My father, when he passed, I got this cube. He made it himself. He put his, he saw himself as this, but he made his own PC and.
Okay.
Derek sent it to me, but there were still things going on with probate and the inheritance thing. So he thought he'd gotten everything off. He wiped everything off. But Derek being the doctor too. But Derek, again, like the Israelis underestimating the Palestinians, he didn't think about, I would be savvy enough to just go online and say, is there something that I can recover old files that have been deleted on a PC? And you got 150 different free ones. And so I downloaded one that wasn't too full of fucking bugs, and started recovering all these files. And this was a 4 terabyte. This is an old system, so I mean, this was Dad put it together a long time ago. Just a cube back when that was a thing, right? Plexiglass cube, and I got a bunch of stuff. But the thing that he was doing was he was on one of these fucking file sharing programs, and just constantly fucking downloading. He must have had 400, 500 movies, and a Library of Congress of music. Right. I mean, the thing is still in there. I guess it's illegal, I suppose, all the fucking copyright violations on that thing. But god damn, he had all these movies and had all this fucking music, just shit tons of it. And at a time, I mean, I guess at that point that was quote unquote illegal, or he could have been, hit with a fine or some shit. But now they take you out back and shoot you. But at a time, that was free. That was fine. Making copies of some music to give to somebody was So, what else is up?
Oh well, you can't post on YouTube right now because of that. Was it the thumbnail? Was it the thumbnail? Wait, or no, something else.
It was a thumbnail.
Was it the thumbnail?
Yeah, it was a thumbnail. It was a cartoon, political cartoon of it was Donald Trump having his ass kissed by Mitt Romney.
But they gave you a strike for the thumbnail, but they left the video up.
Oh yeah.
And they did that to me though, but they took the whole fucking video down. They gave me a copyright strike because there was a public photo I'd used for a Debbie Lesignan, Debbie the Same Progressive video. I wasn't criticizing her. It was after she died. Right. And because one of her buddies, fascist buddies, Tatsu Ikeda. Yeah. Hello, Tatsu. He claimed that I had stolen his photo. It was publicly displayed by Claudia Stauber on Facebook. Yeah. He claimed I had stolen his photo.
I don't know what if you are a public figure and your Facebook page is public and not set to private.
This was Claudia's Facebook page.
Okay, I don't know if it's set to public and not to private.
Yeah.
And you are a public figure, and Claudia did have the fucking cabin fever shit.
Cabin talk.
Cabin fever talk. Where her hair's all whacked out and she's like talking crazy. When she does the cabin fever talk thing, then she's a public figure, and you can take her fucking thing. Now I don't. You can't take the thing and put it on your album cover to make money off of it.
I didn't.
But your thing
my channel is not monetized. There's no ads or anything. Nothing.
Right. So.
And
that was bullshit.
And I appealed it, and they gave me Tatsu's email, and I actually sent him an email. I explained the situation. I didn't expect to hear from him. Nothing.
No.
But he's not the one. There was this crazed fan of Debbie's, fascist, who believes in censorship, and he was outraged that I had used her that image because I had criticized Debbie in the past, and he didn't even watch it.
As had I,
Huh?
As had I.
Yeah. But they took the video down just because of the thumbnail. There was nothing in the, YouTube is just. But, Debbie Lesignan's fans are just fascist.
I don't know if, well, as outrageous as that is, and you can argue the legality of it, claiming it as a copyright
That's
thing.
the lowest form of censorship is these copyright claims. It's like...
Well, yeah. Well...
It's pettiest. It's the pettiest. That's what I mean by it.
On the flip side of mine, say mine was sexual content.
Yeah, I know.
That's pretty fucking stupid. That's
disgusting stuff on YouTube, and they don't...
As I showed in my video. Yeah. There's some, if it got a few hours to kill and you want to feel bad about the way the world is going, start looking through some anime and dive down that fucking rabbit hole for a little while, and you'll probably just curl up into the fetal position and
it's like on Twitter. I would get censored just using the word stupid. on Twitter, and you see the disgusting things that some people say on Twitter, and it's because, well, they're okay. I'm not.
They can say disgusting things when you say they're stupid. People actually are stupid, so that's probably being mean. You're being mean to them. You know, they can say all this disgusting stuff, and that's, you know, who cares? It's fantasy. When you call someone stupid who actually is stupid.
I didn't call someone stupid. I just said something was stupid and I was censored.
And the stupid people took that.
Well, remember, I got suspended for violating zero rules on Twitter. When
That's
I started,
well, not Twitter, but
on Twitter,
on YouTube.
For talking about the Pegasus Project and, you know, that psychological operation.
Yeah.
So I got swarmed and mass reported and smeared. And then Twitter suspends me because some acceptable account that loves to just criticize Israel said I was defending Israel by talking about the Pegasus Project.
It's been a while since Bibi made a video, so she's got to get all the stuff she's bitter about off her chest.
Well, the Pegasus Project has come back.
Yeah.
That's being recirculated again, that bullshit, because of Israel and Gaza. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Decatur.
Well, Pegasus Project, it's in the mainstream media, and Edward Snowden promotes it because it's intended, it's a CIA, it's a Western intelligence operation.
Yep.
And so they basically say, oh, look at this Israeli spyware. Well, it's a Western-owned company.
Operating in Israel. Right.
And the whole story is intended to smear governments targeted for regime change or whatever.
Right.
It's propaganda.
Right.
But they say, because they know so many people hate Israel, as do I, they think, oh, this is Israeli tech being used to spy on citizens and journalists and activists.
Yeah.
But it's always in countries whose governments the West don't like.
Right. It's like the WikiLeaks of fucking of security software. Yeah.
But I was accused of defending Israel by talking about that.
Yeah. So, what do you you had talked about before about starting up doing some more videos again. You were talking to me about that. You had thought about, you know, getting back. When's the last time you made one? The two of us talking.
Huh?
The two of us talking last year.
No, I made a few videos. I started making a series of videos about the Pegasus Project.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That wasn't long ago.
It was in the spring, maybe April or something. I forget.
That's right.
And I was looking. I wasn't seeing anybody talking about that.
Yeah.
It just seemed like, I mean, and you knew, because we talked about it and you agreed with me.
Yeah.
But I didn't see any of the alternative media.
No.
They were just pushing the same mainstream Snowden. Oh, look at this Israeli spyware.
Yeah.
That was really weird. Nobody was talking about that.
A lot of times they just stick to the boutique things that are easy. They can, like the soundbite ones. They can explain in about, you know, 15 seconds or 30, between 15 seconds and 30 seconds, and they can jump into whatever else they're going to talk about. It takes a while to explain, to lay out the whole thing the way you just did. So you'd have to get someone like Webb or somebody to actually do a deep dive into it, lay it all out.
Well, Whitney Webb did briefly mention it, but she didn't. I forget what she didn't really touch. She has mentioned NSO Group and the Pegasus Project,
right.
But she didn't really say. She was basically saying more or less the mainstream narrative. You know, this is bad, Israeli spyware, Israel. But she didn't say what I was saying.
But you're not saying...
But she didn't really get into it. Like, you know, there's some alternative figures...
Let's make sure that people understand.
Yeah.
You're not saying that, you know, it's not bad Israeli spyware. You're not saying that it's not bad Israeli spyware. You're saying that it's in Israel. It's coming out of Israel, but it's backed by a U.S.
Yeah, the
created
West
by a U.S. company.
The West has bought it,
Right.
so it's Western spyware now, really.
And it's being used to target countries where they want regime change.
Smear.
So it's not really attacking. Just to make sure people understand,
Yeah, I know,
it's not really attacking the alternative people. It is in fact something that comes out of the West and the deep state and us being manufactured and brought out of Israel, but being used to support them and their interests in places where they want a regime change.
They're accusing.
Is that what you're saying? Yes or no? So it's you're not defending Pegasus stuff.
No.
You're just saying people don't really quite understand what it's being
and
used for.
how it's being used,
Right.
and the narrative, the project.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were saying some of the stuff that they exposed.
Well, they were claiming that countries targeted for regime change, being smeared for one reason or another, were using the spyware against journalists, propagandists, activists, regime change agents. That was the story.
I got
And
you.
so this operation wanted these journalists, activists, give us your phones and devices. We'll check.
Right. We talked
Remember?
about that.
'Cause you talked about it briefly in the
Yeah. I remember that now.
Yeah. And Edward Snowden pushes this Pegasus project.
Yeah. I got you now. And it was and didn't Snowden have some kind of software or company that he was also pushing that would help check to see if they were infected with the Pegasus thing or whatever it was?
He had a company.
I think he was pushing one.
He was promoting the Pegasus project.
He was
that
promoting
story.
the Pegasus project. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's you thought that was funny, and I'm going, yeah, bring us your devices.
Yeah.
We'll check them.
Right. It's the same thing that happened with Assange. Yeah, come on, meet Assange. Just leave all your devices in this room, and you go sitting there for a couple hours waiting for Assange while we won't touch your devices.
But they also wanted to get that company or their software on the cheap. So that was another angle to the story. It seemed like they were trying to smear the company, kind of trying to undermine it and degrade its value or whatever, so they could buy it cheap or something. Something. It was wild. Yeah, it was like there was a business angle to this. We want your software, so we're going to say you're bad.
They always feed on their own. Yeah. Why not? Business is business. So,
but they're always trying to put this line between, oh, this is Israeli spyware. There's a line between Israel and the Western intelligence community. I'm going, no, not really.
Yeah, and people, and Whitney does this as well. She talks about the fact that how many different agencies in the U.S. use Israeli fucking software. The squirrels, look at the squirrels looking in the window, waiting for me to come out there and feed them. See them on top of the building? He's looking at us right now.
Yeah.
Sorry. She talks about this and how Israeli software is being used to spy on us by our own agencies, domestic agencies, and how that's problematic because ultimately that information could go back to Israel and Israel first, or at least they're getting copies of it. I guess is what her argument is and her concern is. But
there's this she'll say, "Oh, it's foreign spies." I'm going, "Oh, like our spies are better or something?" That's what I think is funny.
I think that the problem with that analysis is that it's Cold War. It's like back when you were NSA. Oh, it's a long time ago, and even before that, when you needed things like spies, even to keep track of your allies. But they don't need spies now. There is no division between Israel and the United States. There is none. Ours is theirs, and theirs is ours. Mainly, ours is theirs, and to some degree, theirs is ours. But we don't spy on each other back and forth anymore. It's all one fucking business. It's all one amalgamated business. It's just one.
Well, that's
college of business.
Yeah, like the first video I made about the Pegasus project, I showed Netanyahu saying, "This is all about business." He was speaking to some tech event or something, and it is, and there are no borders really. You know, it's all business. Whatever is good for business.
Whatever is good for business.
Yeah.
And that's so. There's no now. There might be corporate spying going on, business to business, and I'm sure that happens a lot.
Well, that's what I thought. I saw the business angle where they're trying to undermine the value of that company and their spyware because they wanted it cheap.
Right. You might get some of that, but I mean, it's not in terms of our fucking national intelligence secrets versus Israel's national intelligence secrets versus the United Kingdom. I guess the Five Eyes and or the 15 Eyes, whatever it is now.
There's different groupings.
It's all just one big fucking. It's just all one big fucking corporation now.
Yeah, people are putting too much emphasis on national identities, and
right. Well, we kind of like it that way. That's the old way. Yeah, we kind of like it that way.
Well, yeah, too much of the alternative media too defines things that way by nations or whatever, and they don't really talk enough about how those borders are blurred, and it's not necessarily.
They talk about them,
they
talk about them that way because that's the way we'd like the world to be seen. We'd like the way.
That's why we don't like China and Russia because they are defending the borders.
Right, exactly.
They're defending their sovereignty. Right, and the Western.
Ironically enough, the people who hate China the most are the ones who probably, if they had a chance to sit down and actually understand what their worldview is and what they're working on, they probably are more aligned with how China's fucking and sees the future than certainly how the World Economic Forum does or Israel does or even the libertarians do. Because they're pretty much the same thing as the World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
What else is new? Gaza. I spent so much time talking about Gaza. I spent so many. How many fucking videos have I made on Gaza? I'm burned out on Gaza.
Practically every day. I know you were getting tired of it. Yes.
I am burned out on looking at all those goddamn pictures.
Well, the thing I noticed in the alternative community, like those, say Israel. This Israel thing. There are figures, alternative and social media, pointing their finger at Israel. And I keep thinking, well, who created Israel? How did Israel come about? So they're going, it's like Jackson Hinkle. I'm fighting Zionism. I'm fighting Israeli terrorism.
So give me money.
And what he's doing, he's pandering to the patriots.
Yeah.
And the people, these accounts or figures or whatever, acting as though if Israel didn't exist, everything would be fine. Like what?
Well, who was that guy with the teardrop?
O'Keefe. What's his first?
That guy's back. Kevin something O'Keefe.
I can't remember his first name.
Fuck, what was it? He went down to the fucking some island someplace and God, what a piece of shit. Now he's back.
He's back.
Screeching about Palestine. Because he's got teardrop tattoos. He's real.
Well, there are all these libertarians who are getting a lot of attention over Israel and Gaza. But if you listen to them, if you read what they're saying, there's one I laughed. Men Press News published this guy who calls himself Matt Agorist.
Agorist, yeah.
And if you read what he said, like he does some, legitimate stuff criticizing Israel. Yeah. But his worldview is all governments are bad. Right. The Israeli government is bad. Therefore, all governments are bad.
It's yet another example that proves my point.
Yes.
All government bad.
But I'm not a agorist of, former military, former NSA. I'm going, okay.
Yeah, but isn't that the pot calling the kettle black, Miss former NSA?
No, this guy was career. He was
career?
Yeah. I wasn't career.
So I gotta say, I mean, I think I've been vindicated with, early talks about, why I thought Hamas did this and why why Islamic Jihad did this and the other militant groups decided to do this. And I've also been vindicated, I think, with people saying, well, obviously Israel must have done it with them.
Yeah.
And clearly that wasn't the case. And they didn't let it happen on purpose, though the evidence shows that there was enough evidence, enough information, if they had paid attention and not been racist fucking Zionists.
Like intelligence agencies, and I know this, they gather so much information. There's a lot of stuff they know, but do they use it effectively? Do they analyze it, interpret it effectively?
Right. Exactly. So, but in this case they did, because from what we understand from the New York Times, and now I think somebody else came out, I think it was maybe it was Times of Israel came out with a follow-up to this. Apparently they did analyze it correctly, because they said this is a growing problem, and this is something that we consider to be a threat. However, the leadership in the military and political and said they didn't want to actually believe it. Right? So they went on with their merry little ways. And I think ultimately my coverage of this, I feel pretty confident in, with the exception of one thing, and I mentioned this to you the other day, and I'm not entirely sure. I've been asked, if this is what they did, if they did all this knowing they would take some hostages, they might kill a few civilians, but I mean, that's going to happen, but they really wanted to hit the IDF, hit them where it hurts, scare the shit out of the fucking population, let them know they're not animals on the other side of the fence, they're human beings, but also to get a lot of attention from the rest of the world, to put fucking pressure on the Zionists in Israel to finally once and for all put an end to this. And this is what I said very early on that I thought was happening, and this is apparently now we understand this is what's the whole purpose of it was. And then my position was that though I hadn't, and I said this in one of the videos, I don't live in Gaza, so I don't know. I don't live in a ghetto, the world's largest ghetto or open air prison, so I don't know. But I said, I kind of understood it, and I think I would probably make the same decision. I hope that I had the courage to make the same decision. And what did I tell you yesterday? What did I tell you yesterday?
Well, you're not sure.
No, I'm pretty sure now. I told her yesterday that if you're sacrificing your family and your homes, and your lives, then you can do that and make that, and that's courageous, and you're martyred. But you can't do that knowing full well that your families and your homes are probably going to be, maybe at least, be safe, and you survive through this, and you live through the whole fucking thing. That would be the worst feeling in the world, is if you're one of the ones who pushed for this and voted for this and then helped facilitate it to make it happen. And what are we up to now? 19,000?
It's over 15 anyway. I don't know what it is now.
A lot of people died. 1 million of them made homeless. And your home still exists. And your family still exists. And you still exist. How do you live with that? So I wonder, I don't think I could have made that. So that's
you're not in that position, and it's hard because you don't know.
I don't know, but but you see, I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, I like to say that. Before I concluded, I would like to say that I would make that decision. Today, I would like to say I wouldn't make that decision. I would like to say I wouldn't make that decision, because ultimately, they had come to the conclusion the ends would justify the means. I don't know that it does. No. I don't know that it does. And again, I also told you, 10 years from now, if there is a thriving Palestinian state and Israeli state living side by side, and this is all behind us, maybe.
Yeah, we don't know yet how it's going to end up. Yeah,
we don't know
yet.
It could also go the other way, which lights a fucking powder keg in the whole Middle East, and Iran and Yemen, and eventually Jordan jump into it. And then we've got a fucking World War III kicked off in the Middle East. So it could go either way.
Yeah, it seems like there are people who say, oh, why isn't Iran, why aren't they all going all in? I'm going, what?
Yeah. You mean going all in and defending Hamas, or defending Palestine?
Like attacking Israel. Like, there are people who want that, like a full-blown Middle Eastern war. I don't know.
Well, that would be the one. That would be the great war, the war to end all wars until the next war comes along.
Well, I hate to throw this in, but I was watching when I'm traveling. Like I don't have broadcast TV or cable or anything, so I'll kind of propaganda watch. And this morning on the CBS Sunday Morning, they had a thing about Henry Kissinger because he just died. But, you know this, and he was not stupid.
Fuck no.
So he said something interesting about all these, but this is kind of funny to hear. But he was, I thought it was interesting. He said that all these decisions that leaders or whoever make, can be, are often ambiguous. Well, that's interesting. Ambiguous.
What does that mean?
Well, he was trying to I interpret it as he was trying to make excuses for positions that he had taken. Like, oh, it's not all bad or something. Oh. I don't know. And there is that that's why.
In the context of history, in the context of history judging, looking back, they don't realize that the decisions could be more ambiguous than history interprets. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. And that's why you will see.
Well, what was his recent take on fucking Ukraine? I covered that when he came out and said it.
Oh, well,
a year and a half ago.
Yeah, that was interesting. See, this is the thing about Kissinger. Was complex in his positions and views, and this is why people misinterpret him sometimes. There are people who, say, "Oh, China's is in on it, and they're globalists too," and they will point to how Kissinger could easily go to, he went to China earlier this year after he turned 100, I think, or whatever, and he's welcome because, China doesn't want a full-blown conflict with the U.S.
No.
That's not, and people don't understand that. Well, China were really the resistance that they'd be fighting with the U.S. No. That's not what they want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's like and like what China talked about with when not China, but when President Xi met with Biden or Biden's people who actually do the thing.
Yeah,
we recently over Gaza, and he came out and the one thing he was able to say about the meeting was that it doesn't have to be an either or. There doesn't have to be a singular world economic power. There can be multiple.
Yeah.
And that, of course, goes back to the multipolar system as opposed to a unipolar system.
China and Russia and other countries are trying to protect their sovereignty. They're not trying to impose themselves, their system, on others.
Right. And the unipolar system is the idea that there's going to be one fucking dominant, stateless fucking power, economic power that everything has to adhere to, that has to bend the knee to.
There's something, I keep going back to the Cold War. People forget, you had China and the Soviet Union, you had the communist bloc, and you had the West. You had the non-aligned movement.
The non-aligned movement, right.
That was only able to exist because of countries like Russia and China who were resistance against the Western business.
The aligned movement.
So these were countries that go along with both sides.
It still exists.
It does, but you don't hear that term.
I've written about it several times.
Yeah, but this was a common term when I studied international affairs, whatever, Cold War era. Yeah. But there are countries, and there are these alternative figures like, oh, act like there's just two sides. No.
Yeah. But see, that's also part of the multipolar world. The theory behind it, or the vision behind the multipolar world is that it's not just one dominant world power dictating how things are going to be done and the rule of international law. It's multiple power structures.
Yeah, there's a false dichotomy. I talk about that a lot. People think there's just one or the other. Yeah. Right.
But and obviously they pay attention to and honor fucking nations' borders and things like that. But the idea that there's going to be one or in the multipolar system, China will be the dominant unipolar fucking powerhouse there. So they're really fighting to be the unipolar of this side. And the United States and the World Economic Forum are fighting to be the unipolar of this side. That's not what they're doing. That's not. And so that's getting back to what we talked about before when we said there were so many people on the alt-right who, if they actually sat down and had a chat with someone like President Xi, they might come to realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm back in the wrong side here. I've been back in the wrong side here the whole fucking time. Yeah. I don't know how we got to talking about China.
We got to that. You were talking about you weren't sure if you could make that decision.
Oh, that was way back there. Yeah.
So that's it. And that is different.
If in the end, I'm not one of these guys who says the ends justifies the means. But then again, that's also there's a moment of desperation where I guess you have to, as a people, realize if we don't do anything, we're going to be wiped out. We're going to be wiped out.
Well,
so either we go out with a bang.
Yeah.
We go out on our feet, or we go out on our knees.
Well, I started thinking about when you were saying that you've told this story about Fidel Castro during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah.
That we'd rather, we don't want to be slaves.
Pull the temple down.
We don't want to be slaves.
He couldn't believe Robert McNamara wouldn't. He looked at McNamara and said, freaked out McNamara.
Yes.
I don't know if you know that story. Basically, McNamara meets with Castro and years after the Cuban Missile Crisis. And McNamara had found out because of, was it Khrushchev was president and was in Russia? Well, Khrushchev talking with Kennedy.
A Ukrainian.
Huh?
Khrushchev was a Ukrainian.
Was he Ukrainian? Really? Oh, I don't know.
That's a Ukrainian name, Khrushchev. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. So he's talking to Kennedy, and they said, well, we have word that we've got images now that there's missiles, moving missiles. He says, yeah. And he says, but he doesn't have, Kennedy says he doesn't have, and this is McNamara talking about this from the Fog of War documentary in his book. He's like, yeah, well, he doesn't have the fucking codes. And Khrushchev's like, oh, wait a minute. You see that picture with that little Russian-looking guy standing next to him in a briefcase? What do you think's in the briefcase? And he said they were flipped out. They said, oh my God. He said Khrushchev told him, he said, if you set one fucking boot on Cuban soil, he will launch. And when they realized, that's when it was over. It wasn't over because of some détente or some shit. They realized he was fucking crazy enough to do it. And they had this conversation years later. And McNamara said he couldn't fucking believe it. He was sitting there talking to him on stage, and people were watching, people were there. And he goes, but you weren't really going to do that, were you? And he said, Castro said, of course I would. He said, you'd pull the whole fucking temple down around your head? Because we'd wipe Cuba right off the map. We'd turn it into glass. It'd be gone. He said, yeah, of course I would. Of course I knew that. He said, but I would much rather have my people live as human beings, as people, rather than be your slaves. He said, what got he was freaked out. McNamara was freaked out, and he said, "What got him was that Cuba, but Castro was looking at him and said, and you would too, and you know you would." And that's when McNamara had to get up and take a break, had to leave the stage, go walk off stage. Because you know what? He's probably right. He is right. It's a decision anybody would make. So maybe, yeah, maybe that was the maybe that was the fucking maybe that was the Castro option that Palestine pulled. No.
You can look at it different ways, and it's hard for us to judge. You know, it's valid to question, but it's hard for us to judge.
I guess
we don't know.
We go back to that Kissinger thing, which is what I want to get back to anyway. It's ambiguous. You know, history will look at it, and they will make their own, superimpose their own belief systems on the Palestinians making those choices, and Hamas and Islamic Jihad and the others. And for that matter, they will do the same thing for Benjamin Netanyahu and Ben Giver and the IDF and the fucking Likud. But I want to get back to Kissinger. You said he was bright. He was a smart guy.
Oh,
and yeah, he could go to fucking China anytime he wanted to. He'd go anywhere he wanted to.
Oh, you know who else was always welcome in China?
Carter?
Richard Nixon. He went many times because, you know, he was tarnished in the U.S. In the West. He was always welcome there. Always.
I always thought Nixon was probably the smartest, just in terms of IQ, of the modern presidents since, I guess, maybe Eisenhower.
Well, Carter's no dummy.
Yeah, but he wasn't Nixon smart. Nixon was smart enough to know. He was smart enough to start recording shit in the fucking White House. He would record all his conversations because he fucking knew they were hanging his ass out, especially when they said, "Hey, we want to neoliberalize this country." And he said, "No, and I'll tell you what, I'll give you fucking Chile. Go down and do it to Chile." But he said, "You know, we're all Keynesians now." And after that, he bought a whole bunch more fucking recording devices and brought them in. He was smart. But fucking Kissinger was wicked smart. He was a smart dude.
Nixon loved China. He loved going there.
Oh, really?
He loved the country. Yeah. He had a lot of respect for the Chinese.
I don't. You hear of the horror stories from the what's that fucking Falun Gong? You hear the fucking Falun Gong horror stories. Everyone's getting tortured. They're checking you. They're checking you. How are they checking you for your COVID now?
Anal swabs.
Anal swabs. I mean, all that shit. I've never known of anybody who to actually go to China and visit China and come back and say anything but glowing things about it.
Oh yeah, it shocks the heck out of people when they go there.
Yeah. And everyone thinks they're just walking around in these off-white, gray, drab outfits, and they're all like, so upset. I gotta go to work. I wish I could jump out the window, but they boarded it up. It's a beautiful country. And some of the most impressive skylines as in terms of architecture.
Well, you know, if I had to be a Muslim in the world, if I were a Muslim in the world,
Uyghur?
if I were a Muslim in the world, one of the best, if not the best place to be a Muslim in the world, it would be China.
Would you be a Uyghur? Uyghurs.
Well, there are other Muslims in China.
Okay.
They're the Hui Muslims. Yeah, there are other Muslims.
Yeah. Let's see how far along we are on the video, because I don't know how long it will take. And did we record any of this? Yes, we are. 48 minutes. We're good. We're good. So you are going to be here for a little while longer, and then you are going to zip back home.
Yeah, this is like a little break between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yeah. I was trying to come down earlier, but I had things going on. So. Yeah. And I was just I was planning a big trip, but that fell through.
And that would have been to Istanbul?
Yeah, so I was going to stop over in Europe. And
a couple places in Europe. Yeah,
but that didn't, so I had to kind of rethink everything. And
and another Cuba trip maybe in the future?
Yeah, I think Cuba and Nicaragua I should go back to. But I just didn't have the energy to put into planning to do that again. So.
Nicaragua. So what was the what's the webinar on Nicaragua?
It was on how there's an increase of migrants into the U.S.
From Nicaragua.
Nicaragua and Cuba, but this is about focusing on Nicaragua and how the U.S. has imposed so many sanctions on Nicaragua. Right. So the people in Nicaragua are okay. They're poor, but they have everything they need. But the U.S. putting these sanctions on the country places some limitations on people. And the U.S. also puts out the propaganda, you know, the U.S. is the promised land, the land of opportunity. So there are Nicaraguans who get sucked into this.
The land of the big PX.
Yeah. So there have been Nicaraguans who've gone there and realized this is a mistake because we're just slave labor here, and it's not.
So this is somebody.
And they were gonna. One of the speakers was somebody a Nicaraguan who got sucked into that and went to the U.S. and realized it was a mistake. Yeah. That was a big mistake.
There's got to be a shit ton of those. There's got to be a shit ton of that.
What?
Well, I mean, all these migrants that they brought in, they opened the fucking border, and then they brought them in, they shipped them up to fucking, okay, you're going to Chicago to work for this company, and you're going to New York to work for that company. There's got to be a shit ton of disaffected, pissed off fucking people who came here thinking they were going to do one thing, and now they realize they just treat me like cattle. I'm just being shipped around. Like
there are exiles, Nicaragua and Cuban exiles, and they go back and forth between the U.S.
Right.
in Nicaragua or Cuba.
Right.
And the U.S. loves that because they're spreading the gospel, the free market.
Yeah, but they're not going to love it when they're not going to love it when these guys come back. When these guys go back. The ones who are being like kept in tent cities now in New York, and they're building fucking tents so they can work for $6
No, I'm not talking about them.
Right,
I'm talking about the ones that have been there for a while.
The expats.
Yeah.
So they're basically saying, they're basically trying to show them, you know, there's a better way you can live. And I talked to you about this today too, Donald Trump and his approach to North Korea. And when he was president, and he was talking about he did that famous thing where he was the first president and how long to step on North Korean soil. Quite a long time. And shake Kim Jong-un, shake Kim Jong-un's hand on North Korean soil. I thought it was brilliant. People are like, "What are you fucking doing? Are you kidding me?" And that's John Bolton people and the fucking Hillary Clinton people and this kill, war, kill. That's how you do it. And the brilliance of it was, let's open up a little bit. Let's be more, friendly to them. They'll be more willing to open up to our broadcasts from South Korea, say, and get a little more exposure to the life over here. Let's do that and let that work on them.
Percolate.
Let that percolate. Exactly. Good word. Let that percolate. Let the thought of the freedom and the fucking goodies start working on them that way. And through incrementalism and through, I don't want to say envy, but I want what they got.
Well, it's always the consumerism that they get.
Right.
They're always trying to attract people.
At its core, envy, right? At its core, it's envy. You see a video now, there's a commercial now, this beautiful black woman wearing a big puffy pillow-like fucking coat, and she sees somebody through a mirror looking at her own fucking reflection, but the person has the new titanium iPhone. Oh. And she's like, oh, I need to have that. Yeah. It's consumerism, but at its core, what is this? What are the 7 deadly sins?
Gluttony, lust,
Greed, sloth, gluttony, lust, pride, envy. Because he at the end of that movie he said, and I'm the 7th sin. I'm envy because I envied your simple life. You and your wife and your child. So at the core of consumerism is envy, which is one of the 7 deadly sins. So let that do its work on the people in communist countries or on people like in Nicaragua, And apparently it works.
Yeah, well, that's why, tourism for U.S. citizens is against the law. Going to Cuba. But the U.S. government...
It wasn't for a little while.
It still is.
It wasn't for a little while. It was opened up for a little while.
Tourism was illegal. You could go in different groups.
Don't get mad.
You can go as an exile. Yeah, it was always illegal.
Don't beat me again.
They lifted No.
They lifted restrictions, but you had to go in.
But tourism itself was illegal. You could go with a cultural group as an exile, Cuban.
You called yourself a journalist.
A journalist.
She beats me.
But they placed more restrictions. But no restrictions on Cuban exiles going back and visiting family.
No, of course not.
No restriction on Christian groups.
Because they're going to go back and they're going to show them those fucking iPhones and they're going to have all the fucking clothes and they're going to say, God, I wish I had that. And they're going to show them the pictures of how they live.
And no restriction on Christian groups. Spreading the gospel.
Spreading the gospel. Spreading the gospel of commercialism and envy and consumerism and envy. Yeah.
It's not the Cuban government.
It's fucking insidious.
The Cuban government doesn't say U.S. citizens can't visit as tourists.
Right,
it's the U.S. government.
I know. So, she's getting I'm finally socializing Bo a little bit, or should I say, I'm BB socializing Bo a little bit. I wish I could show you with the camera. No, I can't. He sneezes. So, we'll do another video sometime a little bit later on. She's going to be here for another several days, a while, and we'll do another video. We'll chat. Is there anything down here near in the Tampa area that you're looking at doing you want to go see? You did the mermaids last time.
You did too. You did the mermaids.
She was trying to do the mermaids.
You did.
She was trying to get me. There's this one thing where you gotta go and take pictures with the mermaid, right? And they had this line of all these old dudes and a couple of kids, right? And mothers with their kids. But they were like all these old dudes lined up.
You were in that line.
And I was not in that line, and you damn well know it. And I'm looking at the fucking mermaid, and it's like they got high school girls in them as the mermaids. And here's this high school girl trying to sit there, be all nice, and she's not making more than $16 an hour. And she's just sitting there, and these old fucking dudes just want to get a picture with this fucking high school girl made up as a mermaid. Are you off in the corner talking to the beaver, smoking a cigarette? Is that what you're doing?
I'm holding hands with Bo, holding paws with Bo.
He's your new Bo, huh?
Yeah, Bo's my new Bo.
He really doesn't go outside. It stopped raining, so you gotta do that. Is there anything you wanted to talk about before we take off? Okay.
No.
It's good to have you down here. Enjoy.
Yeah. Well, it's better than Twitter.
It's better
Twitter's
than
a
Twitter.
fucking waste of time. X app.
It's a fucking cesspool, man.
God.
As bad as it was under fucking Dorsey.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad, but believe it or not,
it's fucking worse.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
I go in there's nothing there. Everybody's saying the same fucking thing.
He's turned it into he turned it into a fucking echo chamber. A little focus group echo chamber.
Like nobody sees what I'm saying, and you said, you're in this little corner because we're not okay.
Well, but I think he does that with everybody. And like I said this before, it used to be you go there and what was trending for everybody. I had the same trending thing. You had the same trend. Was trending across the fucking. It was trending across Twitter. Now, it's you see stuff trending that you know damn well is not fucking trending for everybody in the fucking country. And what's happening is they've turned it into something like Facebook, where they're just going to show you what they think you want to see, even there's the stuff that for you and then your feed. For you, those are your choices. Your feed, just the people you follow, or for you, what we think you should be fucking seeing or would want to see. How about what's trending? How about Twitter? How about what the fuck is going on Twitter? I want to see what everybody's doing on Twitter. What's a big thing on Twitter right now? Nope, you don't see that. No. They're custom making it so that you feel comfortable in your own little fucking Twitter bubble.
Well,
and it's not real. It's fake. It's all fake.
It's just all these big supposedly alternative accounts. Mm-hmm. And if you look, they're all saying the same fucking thing. They are mockingbirds.
Yeah.
And people think, oh, this is the resistance. But when you look at what they're saying, it's very limited. They're the thing that drives me nuts is since Israel started waging its war against Gaza is all the previously disreputable accounts or figures have come out of the woodwork because, like you were saying, that's the easy grift or something.
It's the easy grift, yeah.
The Palestinian cause easy, and drives me nuts.
A prime example is O'Keefe, right?
Yeah, but you'll see people say, "Oh, well, I oppose Russia's invasion of Ukraine and Israel's war against Gaza." Like they're the same thing.
Smear by association.
Like what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. But it's just everything's just such a fucking grift there. But you can get some good information out there.
Yeah.
And if you follow along with the people you follow, and you're lucky enough for them to actually not shadow ban those people from you, so you can actually follow them and see what they're doing, or as you taught me. Sometimes you just, if you haven't heard from somebody for a while, just go and check and
go to specific
go to their fucking
accounts
accounts and see what they're talking about, right? Which is what I've been doing now since you mentioned it. It was a good idea. So,
but when I get attacked,
you can still learn something.
Yeah, these people standing with Palestine, and I was being called a commie for defending Hamas.
Well, you are a commie.
But this is I have no use for a lot of these people with I stand with Palestine. As I say that I'm a commie for defending Hamas or an extremist. I don't know. There's other stuff.
Right.
Like what?
Right.
And it's all this libertarian crap or anarchist.
Right.
And because all government is bad.
All government bad.
Including Hamas. Okay.
Right.
Right, Bo? Bo's not on Twitter. Should create an account for Bo on Twitter.
So you want to say hi to anybody out there? You want to say hi to Nan or Nora?
Nana Nora. Hi.
Michael.
Hi, Tatsu Akeda.
Michael. What's that romper room? Remember that? I see Bobby and Hatsu Akeda, you fucking fascist, and I see Michael Rappaport. You lying motherfucking Zionist piece of shit.
I see Paris. I see France.
I see poo-poo in your pants.
Bo's looking at you.
Why are you looking at me, Bo? What did I do? Okay.
Oh, he gave me his paw. Aww.
He's got one trick. He's a one-trick pony. He's a one-trick fucking
It's his
gator.
one line to pick up women.
He's a one-trick gator. That's what he's got with his short little legs.
Here, baby, here's my paw.
Let's do it.
I know.
Her voice said no, but her mouth said... Her voice said, no! But her mouth said...
But I looked at the mouth, and it was open. God.
Help me. Okay. So, thank you very much for tuning in, and it's been too long since we did a BB and Scott and BB video. We got to do more of them. Even when we go back, we got to Skype and do more of them because I enjoy talking to you.
Yes.
Enjoy talking to you.
We have good conversations because we each have our own perspective.
Yeah.
Different angles, looking at things. Yeah. Focuses.
And you're so much more nicer to talk to than the voices. And right, do you think you can be honest? Do you think am I suffering from cabin fever? dear God, yes. Anyway,
yes.
we're out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm glad you came down. I am.
I'm glad I traveled.
We will see you next time. Thank you guys for watching, and put those back on and freak out fucking boom. Oh, here he comes. He's going to attack you. And it's going to hurt because his claws are not clipped.
No, he's fine.
Talk to you
He's
later. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.